Today we're talking about Texas House Bill 1650 and the benefits that this is going to bring to plumbers and the plumbing license law by allowing high school students to get credit that can help them become a tradesman. Why have I got my big wrench with me? Well, kind of like Sophronia Thompson. Walk softly and carry a big stick. I'll tell you what, she has done so much for the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners and plumbing licensees themselves. I am so glad she is the chair of this committee. Y'all remember Miss Sophronia Thompson? She's a representative from Houston, Texas that actually stood up and fought for plumbers, fought for the citizens of the state of Texas and the plumbing license 2 years ago. Now, she's watching over us again. She is the chair on the committee overseeing House Bill 1650. Now, Matt Schaefer out of Tyler, Texas wrote this bill, and I gotta tell you what, this is something I support, this is something I agree with, and I wanna tell y'all about it because I think every plumber, every plumbing company owner in Texas should actually call their senator, their representative, call all the people that represent you, and if you don't know who it is, go to whorepresentsme.com. Put in your address and it will tell you who your representatives are. But what are we doing here in Texas? What are we trying to do? Look, we are still short plumbers. I think people know that. What he's done is written a bill to put before Congress to see what we can do to turn this into a law. What this bill would do is actually allow students going into high school to take classes to help them that when they got out 4 years later, they could be a licensed plumber. Not a licensed plumber, but a registered tradesman. What does this allow? Well, for a small plumbing company like me, we do residential service. A person with that license can actually go into houses and work on single family and two family dwellings. No multifamily, no commercial, nothing like that. If a school set up properly with the right training program could literally teach someone over 4 years. Now think about it, when I was younger, we had cabinet making shops. Guys could get out of that class and they knew how to make cabinets. They could get a job immediately making good money.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
We've had trade courses, we've had Votech, we've had all kinds of things. Here's the deal, in California, a company owner like me can literally bring a plumber in, train him 8, 10, 12 weeks, put him in a truck, and he is a plumber. Now, my thing is, if we train people right, I think that's a possibility. So what I want to do is I want to talk about a few things in House Bill 1650 and tell you my thoughts on them, but I want you to leave me a comment down below and let me know, what do you think about it? Do you think this single bill could literally be enough to help eliminate the shortage that we have for plumbers here in Texas? So one of the first things that it talks about is successfully completed a coherent sequence of courses in the plumbing trade that are offered through a career and technology education program as described by section 1301.3542. Now guys, look at this, it's addressing it in the beginning. It's a series of courses. It's not just one class, you go in and boom, you're a plumber. There are a series of courses set up so that someone coming into high school can say, look, I'm not a books and knowledge kind of person. I'm a hands-on kind of teach me, let me play with it, let me feel it, let me build it. To me, that's the way plumbing needs to be taught. Let people get in, let them learn, but let them find a way to get their hands on. This thing is really written pretty well because right after it says that, it says has passed the required examination. Now we'll talk more about that in a minute, but yes, there is an exam and they're gonna have to pass it in order to get the tradesman. So let's talk about that exam. Right here in the next chapter, it says, may apply for and take an examination for a license as a tradesman, plumber, limited license holder. I love that. The board may not require this person to register as a plumber's apprentice, pay any fees, or comply with section 1301.354 or any other requirement of this chapter that applies to a person's eligibility to apply for and take the examination. Now I gotta tell you, there's part of that I don't agree with. The part I don't agree with is where it says they may not make a person apply for the registration, meaning they're a registered apprentice. Why is that important to me? Because when this person is going to school, if they want to get their hours, if they want to get more hands-on, they need to come to work with me in the summers, on the weekends, anything like that. Now, I cannot put an apprentice out in the truck unless he's registered with the state. I mean, literally, I've got people here in my office that have a plumbing apprentice card because I may need them to go out in the field and do something. I may need them to deliver materials. So we have our people have an apprentice card just for that reason. I think if someone is going to school, whether it's high school, trade school, or whatever, they need to go ahead and get registered as an apprentice for 2 reasons. Number 1, that way I can use them out in the field. Number 2, that way the state knows how many people are registered at any given time. Maybe we create a special apprentice registration, a high school registration, a trades class registration, whatever you want to call it. But that way we know, hey, Texas may be short plumbers right now, but there are 50,000 people registered in high school all around the state that are going through the trades right now that may come out and go to work for you. Then once we know the percentages of the people who graduate, now don't get me wrong, this will be later, but once you know those percentages, you can start looking at how many people we're going to get out of those classes each year. Once you do that, you can look at how long will it take us to recover and get enough plumbers to actually fill everything we need. Now further down, I like this. It says the board shall develop the courses described by subsection A. Guys, they're going to put this back on the Texas State Board. They're going to put this back on the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, which is where it should be. We don't want the TEA, we don't want the ISDs coming up with whatever curriculum they think. We want the Texas State Board to say, look, if we're going to make them a tradesman, this is the training, this is the syllabus, this is what it looks like. And to me, that's part of what Matt Schaefer's done here that makes this really look good, and to me, makes it worth passing on. It can help us fill the role of plumbers in the state of Texas. It can help us do it with our high school students that some of them are maybe going to drop out anyway. They need to get a job. They want to get a job. This could be a great opportunity to set it up where students can literally go to high school, register, say hello. Maybe they've got English, maybe they got math, maybe they have something like that. Now they go straight into a trades program, a vocational technical program to help them get out in the field faster, making money so they can help support their families or whatever it is they need to do. Another cool thing about it in here, it talks about the practical component. It recognizes, hey, look, we can't just teach them to be a plumber by reading a book. People watch my videos all the time. It doesn't mean they're going to be a master plumber. It means they might be a better one when they get there.
Okay.
But at least they understand there's a practical component to this. It's not just sitting in a classroom all day. You have to get out, work on things, touch things, tear things apart, put it back together. To me, that's the funnest part about learning plumbing. Putting your hands on it, touching it, feeling it, making it work, and then understanding, hey, I got this. Okay, now here's one of my favorite parts, and I'm going to read this directly off the page. This is Section F. It says, a person may not provide instruction in a career and technology education program described by this section unless the person is licensed under this chapter as a master plumber, a journeyman plumber, or a plumbing inspector. Here's why that is good to me. They're not just going to pick a teacher that normally teaches study hall and say, hey, guess what? Next year you're teaching plumbing. This has to be someone that is licensed. Now you think about this. How many people, how many plumbers do you know that are worn out? They've worn their bodies out and they're like, look, I just can't do this anymore. But they may still want to make an income. So this could be a great opportunity. Plumbers make good money. Instructors with tenure make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. As a plumber going into a school, teaching people a trade, think about it, guys. As we get older and we start looking at, look, I really don't want to be out in the field all the time. If you've done good and you've watched your money all the way through your career, now you have another opportunity. Walk into a classroom, get a job teaching plumbing to the next generation. Now here's another one. Not sure I agree with it, but I want to know what you think. So under Section 3C, it states, a person who is employed by under this contract with engaged as a volunteer by a school to provide instruction in a career and technology education program described by Section 1301.3542 and provides meaningful course instruction in the program determined under the rules adopted under Section 1301.407 is not required to pay a fee to renew a person's license. Guys, think about that. That's a pretty good benefit. If I teach enough that they say, look, you're a volunteer, you're a paid instructor, whatever it is, if I'm teaching, now I have a possibility of not having to pay to renew my license. I think that's a pretty good deal. Think about it. As you retire, there's 2 things that you hate doing: paying for your license, but you still want to keep it because it's kind of attached to your identity, and continuing education. Now, that's one that, if you read further down, here's what it says. Section 1301.407, procedures for verifying certain exemptions. The board, the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, in consultation with the State Board of Education, may adopt rules as necessary to verify whether a person qualifies for an exemption from the required renewal fee, as described by Section 1301.401C, or an exemption from required continuing professional education, as described by Section so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. Here's my deal. Do we really want instructors not doing continuing education? Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of having an exit clause saying, hey, look, I don't have to go sit through that 6 hours of training every year ever again. Some teachers, maybe 8 hours. But here's my thought. Do we really want instructors not learning? Because I tell you what, believe it or not, those of you that hate continuing education, I gotta tell you, every year I walk away getting something out of it. It's not a lot, maybe, but each year there is a little bit of a change, and I think continuing education is a very big, important part of it. I want to say thanks to Brent McDonald. He actually showed up down at the Reagan Building in Austin to talk before the committee. And I got to tell you, I wanted to try to get down there. I was trying to figure out how can I do it? What time of day are they going to do it? And I couldn't get all that figured out. Also wanted to find out if I could carry video equipment and a videographer so we could actually go down, shoot it to give y'all another view. Actually though, we knew that they were recording it online. We set up to record it and put it together this way. Brent McDonald, number one, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Rub-a-Dub Plumbing out in Athens, Texas. Guys, if you don't know him, check it out. If you're in that area and you want to learn plumbing, great guy to go to work for. So do me a favor, let me know what you think about this. I have said all along, I wish they would put plumbing back in the high schools. When we had stuff like this in high schools, we weren't really hurting for people. Then we started telling every person that went to school, you need to go to college. Now, we don't have anybody in the trades. Those of us that are in the trades, we're getting old, we want to retire, but we know we need younger people to come up and take our place. So number one, Brent, thank you for being there. Now let me ask you, what do you think? I think this is great. This helps us get more plumbers in the trade. I really wish it had been written a little bit different. I wish that it would have included electricians and HVAC techs, but that's a question for Brian Francis, the executive director of TDLR. So let me know what you think. Do me a favor and leave me a comment down below and tell me, do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad? But then tell me why. I think it's great because it keeps more people in high school longer and it helps fill the void of plumbers in the state of Texas. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the Expert Plumber. I'll see you in the next video if you don't get flushed.